This is Midday Sunday. We are talking today about cannabis, about the laws involving the use of cannabis in this country. And we're talking with Cheri Sicard. She's here from NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. And she's quite the eclectic author. Your latest book, you want to hold it up?
The Cannabis Gourmet Cookbook.
The Cannabis And what do you have? Let's see, there's the usual cookies, I would imagine.
Right, we go way beyond cookies and brownies, though. Pizza, New Orleans barbecue, shrimp, all kind of recipes, over 120 eclectic recipes, because patients get bored with the same old things, and cookies and brownies are not always what you want to eat.
And there's, and those of us, for example, who are diabetic, we're not going to be eating that thing unless we want to pay for it with our blood glucose.
Glucose.
Yeah, there it is. The Great American Handbook?
Right, that was my first book on how to be a good American citizen, along with Everyday American and U.S. Citizenship for Dummies, are books I wrote in my early career.
Yeah. Here's the Everyday American.
I know a lot about U.S. government, and so when I got involved with cannabis, I really kind of was offended, because I wrote these books about how government is supposed to run, and cannabis, all common sense comes out of the equation.
Yeah, and The Dummies Way?
The Dummies, this is a book for immigrants coming to America that want to immigrate and become citizens, so that's what that book is for.
Oh, boy, boy. Eclectic author doesn't begin to talk about it all.
You're right.
All right, so why is it? Why is it that when we talked on the phone a couple of days ago, we were talking about Reefer Madness, the classic 30s film that had all of these, you smoke a joint, you're going to get pregnant.
Right.
You smoke a joint, you're going to turn from white skin to black skin.
Right.
You suppose that there are still people who believe in all of that stuff?
Oh, absolutely. And it really isn't their fault. These people have been subjected to decades of government-sponsored brainwashing, starting with Reefer Madness. It started with that.
And what's in it for the government?
What's in it for the government? I'm not sure exactly, but there are a lot of special interests that have a lot to gain by keeping it illegal. So is that directly to the government? Are elected officials paid off? I don't know, because it makes no sense to me when you look at the research and you look at the science and you look at the government's own studies, starting back to the 1930s when this was first declared illegal. The American Medical Association came out against this. During the Nixon administration, we had the Schaefer Commission that was supposed to study this. They recommended that the laws were more harmful than the substance. It should be legalized. Nixon threw that in the trash. We've had study after study after study showing the safety of this, showing that it's not harmful, and showing that our laws do far more harm than the substance. So why is it still illegal? I don't know. Corruption is the only thing that I can point to logically, but I don't know.
Well, we have situations, for example, in this country where tobacco growers are paid not to grow tobacco.
Exactly.
In order to maintain prices at a specific level. And I don't know, is there even a connection between smoking cigarettes and smoking a joint?
Well, I think the connection is that if marijuana is available, it shows a lot of people will use less tobacco. They certainly will drink less. They will use other drugs less, pharmaceuticals less. Yeah. We talked about the gateway theory and saying that it really wasn't valid, but what is valid and what there are a lot of scientific evidence that shows is it's an exit drug. It helps get people oftentimes off of harder drugs, off of heroin, off of cocaine, off of alcohol, which are far more harmful drugs.
So what is it like looking at how easy it is to get drunk in this country, and very, very difficult to get high?
What is your question?
The question is, the very stark contrast between these two.
Very stark contrast, and what's really absurd is that, like I said, cannabis is far less harmful than alcohol. That doesn't mean I think we should prohibit alcohol. Prohibition doesn't work. We tried that experiment. It didn't work. It doesn't work with cannabis either. Prohibition just flat out doesn't work. If you watch the Ken Burns documentary that was done recently, you could pretty much take out alcohol, substitute cannabis, and everything else is the same. The rise of crime, the tearing apart of families. We should have learned these lessons back then, but for some reason there's a disconnect between alcohol and cannabis, and it really is the same issue. Watch that documentary and see. Substitute cannabis for alcohol and look at the harm we're doing. That's why I'm a leader with the NORML Women's Alliance.
Yeah, what is that? Why is it that women, there's a special part of NORML specifically for women?
Exactly. Well, women have a lot of issues that may be a little bit more different. The stigma's a little bit more different for women, especially if they're a parent. There's issues with child custody and child protective services issues. And women are often misinformed about things like the gateway drugs and things like that. They fear for their children. And we're here to educate women that the laws against marijuana are going to do your kids a lot more harm. Like your kids can lose your student loan just because they have a drug arrest on their record. They're less desirable for job applications. They could go to jail. There's so many things about this war on cannabis that rips families apart. And that's why we're here to support women within that movement.
And again, we're not taking a position one way or the other, but families torn apart by alcoholism.
Exactly.
But
this is not an addictive substance like alcoholism. I mean, it shows the addictive potential is very low for cannabis. I mean, it's like on the equivalent of coffee or chocolate cake. It's not you're not going to go through a physical withdrawal. It's not going to rack your body. I mean, millions of people use cannabis. Very few really have a problem with it. People regularly use it in their youth and stop with no side effects.
So what do you say? You know, you're a parent. You discover that Johnny or Missy have got they've got a little packet of some cannabis. They're maybe 15, 16, 17 years old. How do you deal with that as a parent?
Well, I'm not a parent, but I do have friends in the movement that are, and they talk to them honestly about the consequences of it. And really, the consequences are very dangerous if they do get caught for the reasons I said, losing student funding, losing jobs, things like that. So the consequences can be very dire. As a parent, I would rather see my child use cannabis than alcohol. I'm not condoning either one, but alcohol is a lot more dangerous to them than cannabis. So.
And possession of a pint or being inebriated, if you're under 21, there are some fairly serious consequences.
Exactly.
For that
And as
well.
NORML, we're never advocating the use for underage people. We think it should be for responsible legal adults that can make this decision.
In fact, looking at your website, there's somewhere there that describes NORML as the organization for responsible...
Exactly. We are for responsible cannabis use by adults. This is an adult decision, just like using alcohol or tobacco is, and it should be a decision adults are able to make.
And you're not urging people that to smoke or to consume?
Oh, of course not. No. But they should have the right to, and we don't believe the government should have the right to arbitrarily ban a substance, especially one that, by their own studies, they've said is safer than many of the foods we typically consume.
So what do you think it's going to take to progress the movement to the point where you get closer to what you have been struggling for now 40 years?
I think for more people to wake up and realize that this issue affects them, even if they don't use cannabis. I maintain this issue affects every man, woman, and child in this country. Again, for all those issues I said, the prison industrial complex, the medical research that's being thwarted, the hemp issue. So many of these issues affect everyone, even if they never, ever, ever use cannabis. So what I would like to see is more people realize that this issue is important and their freedoms are being taken away because of a plant.
You're reminding me that we need to talk more, not on this program, but about yes, indeed, that we also support a prison industrial complex, especially with the privatization, particularly.
Exactly.
Of prisons. It's a whole new thing out there, and
it's fueled by the drug war.
Yeah, and is it like the savings and loan or the banking issue that they're too big to fail?
That's scary, but are we going to continue ripping people's lives apart and having them live in jail because prison guards need their jobs?
Yeah.
I think we need to find new jobs for the prison guards.
Well, yeah, but the prison guards have their concerns as well, but there's some happy medium between the two. Let's take a break, okay?
Okay.
Okay, we'll be right back. For more information about the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, go to www.norml.org. Pronounced normal, but you'll find all sorts of information, and you can connect there with folks who are here in the Southern California area. Thanks so much for being with us. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you and getting a different perspective on all of this stuff.
Thank you for having me. It was really great.
Good luck. The eclectic author, Cheri Sicard.